We've been talking about this throughout the show. Pressure is very much mounting on Rishi Sunak to decide whether or not he wants to leave the ECHR.
Now, with reports that he could face a revolt from cabinet ministers if he decided to leave, what would be in the better interest of the British public? Should we stay or should we go?
Simple question. Joining us to debate this is broadcaster and journalist Nina Mishkov, who believes we should remain firmly within the ECHR. And on the other side, we have former Chief Immigration Officer at the UK Border Force, Kevin Saunders, who believes we couldn't leave soon enough. OK, Kevin, make the case for leaving.
Good afternoon. Right, we should leave the ECHR tomorrow. It is a complete and utter nonsense. We only saw, I think it was last week or the week before, a gentleman, I think he was from Bulgaria, but I could be wrong, who was not the sort of person that we want in the UK. He was a really bad lad, and we wanted to remove him, and he claimed under the ECHR, and of course what happens, he won and we're stuck with him. We need to come out of this ridiculous piece of legislation. It doesn't work for what we want.
So, Kevin, this is about the deportation of foreign criminals.
It was a foreign criminal, yes. He claimed on the basis that if he was removed, it would infringe his right to family life. Well, it wouldn't infringe his right to family life because he could take his family with him. He doesn't have to remain in the UK. But, of course, that's not how the other side view it. And I'm sure Nina was going to rip me to pieces.
Go on then, Nina.
Well, first of all, Kevin, and hi to Emily and Tom. The European Convention on Human Rights was set up in 1951, and one of the founding members was Sir Winston Churchill, who I think we all agree is, whatever people say, is still a hero to all of us. And the basic principles were to protect the rights of individuals, to protect human rights and freedoms. And so far, as far as the ECHR, which is nothing to, it's actually not the EU. It's wider than that. There are more countries that are in the EU. It's not an EU thing. It's a European thing, which is different. And the only two countries that have left the ECHR. One is Greece, when it was taken over by a military junta by the colonels and became a dictatorship. And the other one, the other country that's out, is Russia, who were thrown out when Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. Now, do we want to ally ourselves with Vladimir Putin and the Russian regime, or and become pariahs on the world stage? For centuries, Britain has, we travelled the world bringing democracy, bringing the things that Britain is well known for, decency, fairness, democracy around the world. And are we now to turn our back on all of that?
Well, Kevin, why don't you answer that one? We've got countries like Switzerland, countries like Turkey, not in the EU, in the ECHR. They seem relatively independent.
We have, as Nina says, 1951 was when we looked at how we were going to run the world after World War II. Excuse me. Now, that was so long ago that things have changed. So what we need is to look at what's happening today. We never thought we were going to have the situations happening, let's say, just in Europe, what's happening today. So we need to be able to control our own borders. We need to control who we want in the UK and who we don't want in the UK.
Yes, but Kevin, we can do that without the ECHR. We can do that if we treat the problem properly, and we can do it. And I'm sure Labour, although I don't vote Labour, I'm sure Labour have a plan to treat the people smugglers at source, and to provide places within countries where they can be processed, and so they don't have to come here. No, it's ridiculous.
Wrong.
And the other thing is, where do you stand? Where does your morality come into this? We know no, you can't just throw everything out just because you want to break the rules. Any game is easy to win if you break the rules. And this is all about Rishi Sunak, desperate to get a plane off the ground to get to Rwanda, who are selling off, by the way, the accommodation that's supposed to be set for the refugees, and who there's not enough space for them. I mean, if he got a plane off the ground and a plane load there, there's no more accommodation. And then what? So this is all about this ridiculous farce of going to Rwanda. There are far better ways of dealing with this, and becoming a pariah on the world stage is not worth it.
Kevin, would this make us a pariah?
No, it wouldn't make us a pariah at all. And I've worked in the immigration business for a long, long time. And if I could have £1 for everybody who has lodged a claim under the ECHR and won it, I'll be a multi-millionaire, because people claim are under right to human life in the UK and win, because it's a ridiculous piece of legislation.
It's not a ridiculous piece of whatever laws we have should be administered properly. I mean, the Home Office is absolutely not fit for purpose. Look at the backlog. Look at and if they're kind of getting through the backlog more quickly, then they are not processing people properly.
Nina, do you think we wouldn't have human rights in this country without us belonging to the ECHR?
Well, of course we would have human rights, but many of our greatest laws against, for instance, sexual abuse and domestic violence came via the ECHR. You know, they have been, you know, fairly forward thinking. We've kind of dragged our heels at times. So, you know, we need that to sort of aspire to.
Right, well, we started with Kevin, we ended with Nina. Thank you so much for both of your points of view there.